So how is that? I'm Bridget Carey. I'm a viola player with Britten Sinfonia, and I've been taking part in the Opus 1 workshops, which have been a series of workshops with working time in between with early career composers.
I'm Oli Pashley. I'm a clarinet player in Britten Sinfonia, and I've also been taking part in the Opus 1 workshops this year.
How's it been for you?
I've really enjoyed this process, actually.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, it's quite a long process, actually, isn't it? I can't remember when it was. Our first session about it was
July.
It's right a while back in July, and that's been really nice.
Very often you just don't have enough time to rehearse, or everything's quite compacted, and to actually have something that is sort of spun out over a longer period of time is nice, because it gives the composers, I think, a chance to really develop their pieces and take feedback on board and not feel like it's rushed, and so at each stage of the process you really get something that's evolving.
Yes, yeah, I think that's nice, and it's relatively unusual in a way, because I think a lot of workshops there's a lot of pressure. A lot of them are in an educational setting as well. So you're working with young composers, and they've got their teacher at their elbow, and so this has been nice. To just have that sense of progression. And it's funny, so they all came at the first session in different states. So one of the pieces seemed to be, we thought, oh gosh, that's like it's complete already. And at the other end of the scale, one of them was like totally incomplete. It was really in the making, but just words on the page. And yet they all really fully used the time and the time scale, and embraced that. That was really nice, I think.
And to see new pieces come into existence, that's always nice.
Yeah, that's great. It's great to see to have that chance to interact and to learn about ensemble, and it's not just individual instruments, although there's always how do I notate harmonics, or can you do that on the bassoon?
You always learn something new.
Yeah.
Even about your own instrument sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the things that are very hard to express, I think, when you're teaching composition, that must be so hard to, you have to presumably then just keep pulling out examples of works to say, well, this might work well. How do you write for an unconducted ensemble? How do you make the decisions that work?
And so often you learn things, I think, in the setting of working with musicians that you can't learn otherwise, or that are very difficult to learn.
Yeah.
So the experience of writing something and then presenting it to people who then have to interpret it and play it, you kind of, things are put under the spotlight and things get shown up that you would have missed otherwise. So that's quite nice.
Yes.
To give people that opportunity as well over a longer period of time.
Yes. Yeah.
So they can really see what works, what doesn't work, and then have the time to go away and make those adjustments, and hopefully, learn something over a longer period.
Yes. Although, those things happen even with composers who aren't in the beginning of their career. Really, really well-established composers, you get to sit in the room with them. I remember, I shan't remember, I remember a very, very distinguished composer saying to me, Bridget, I didn't mean that. They all play that. So they all play that, but Bridget, I didn't mean that. And then sitting down and having that. Well, that's because what you wrote, that's what it means if you play the viola in your day job. And it's, there's no substitute for being in the room, even if you've got years and years of experience and write that. Yes.
You don't just want a piece to appear on your stand with no thought about the people who have to actually play it. And I think, again, that's something that only comes from having contact with musicians.
With musicians. I mean, I think in some ways, the one thing I think we could have had more of from the composer is that, what can you do? They didn't, this particular group didn't ask that so much, and you think, well, sometimes, this is a resource, so bring some stuff that you don't know quite how it's going to work, bring some different versions, or say, and what if?
Because the great thing about, the great thing actually about this scheme, I think, is that you can really come with any stage of any piece in your mind, whether it's something fully formed already or if it's literally just words on a page, and we'll be able to help coax things out or try things out. And there's really, it's quite like a low pressure, long term thing, which is nice. Often you kind of, when a composer's commissioned, they have to deliver the piece and it has to be totally, absolutely playable, and there has to be no ambiguity because there's never enough time to get things together. But actually,
and that's very limiting in lots of ways, isn't it? So it's limited. We've got this. You can have a commission for a 4-minute piece, but you're only going to get an hour and a half's rehearsal in total.
And so to have the time to actually workshop it and to find things that don't work, that can be as valuable as finding things that do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was your favourite part of the process of Opus 1? That's
a tricky one, because there were lots of favourite bits. I think in a way, actually, coming today and recording was really nice, because I think in lots of ways they were all quite sort of pleasantly surprised. We had a little sneaky hour, an hour or two without them. And having, of course, we've said that there's no substitute for them meeting us and interacting with us, and that two-way thing. But also, there's that sort of alchemy that happens when the musicians are like, all right, okay. So we've talked about that. We know what they want. How's that going to work? How are we going to get that together? And all that. And so the pieces had sort of crystallised since the last workshop that we had. There was a lot of work on their side, and then there was some work on our side as well. And then to come today, and there was actually a finished product, and I think they all went, ooh, that's really nice. Yeah.
Sort of seeing it through from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And then getting to present something. That was really nice, and like they all seemed happy.
Yes.
Yeah.
You like to make them happy.
Yes. And it's always nice to see a composer hear their piece for the first time as well.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I could do the reverse. I could say, have you got any advice for future applicants?
What's really been pleasant about this whole process is seeing the range of styles and ideas that have been brought to the table. I didn't think any one person was writing music that they thought they should write, which sometimes you get with composition. I think everybody here was really writing the music that they wanted to write, and so my advice, I guess, not just for this scheme, but is to try and explore the ideas that really excite you, because they're the things that then will be clearer and more. They will have more. How do I say it? If you write what you want to write, it'll be obvious to everybody who hears it that it's more confident and it's self-assured, and like that's your voice.
Yes.
So I think
finding your voice. You should
try and sort of find your style and explore that, because this process isn't for any one kind of composer.
No.
It's for people who have interesting ideas who want to explore them.
Yes. Yeah. I think the other thing is to be open to that process, to be open to changing things on the hoof, which can be quite hard, I think, if you're sitting in a room with your manuscript pad or your computer program, and finding the courage to take the opportunity.
And also, because when you live with a piece, when you're writing something, it's just you and the music in your room, or wherever you write music. And then in 5 minutes you might workshop it, and someone says, oh, sorry, that's not possible. And you have to be able to sort of adapt and let go of things as well, and be willing to be taken on that journey, I think.
Yes.
Not to hold it too dearly.
Yes. Yes.
That's our job, is to try and do what the composer wants within the limitations of our our technique or our instruments.
Yes.
So we'll always give it our best shot.